editor Kate Nagel. Thanks to Jennifer Lawless for Skyping in from American University. I'd like to welcome my next guest in, Adam Lastrina. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you probably wipe off a little flour from Knead Donuts. Wanted to get you in to talk a little bit about the expansion to Elm Grove. If you've been downtown, we've had Knead Donuts on before. Here's some examples celebrating the 4-week anniversary of the opening.
4 weeks are the hardest is what they tell me, so yeah, 4 weeks.
So talk with us, go through the thought process, Knead being popular here downtown and saying there's a market for more donuts and more places throughout the state.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously a lot of moving parts. I think first and foremost, it's important to listen to your customers, right? So, you know, the thing we hear day in and day out is trying to get to you, the lack of accessibility, where do I park? You know, will you pay my parking ticket? You know, I'm not paying, you know, $5 to, you know, then buy a donut. So I think we are, you know, fortunate to be in a good position to even consider opening up another location. And so, you know, what we wanted to do was sort of combat sort of our biggest complaint, which was sort of accessibility, lack of parking, and Elm Grove sort of seemed to fit that mold.
Fit the bill. So how many places did you look at? Was that the best opportunity that presented itself? Did you cast a wide net?
We went into it very open-minded. I think, you know, there are, again, a lot of moving parts getting, you know, because all of our donuts are made downtown. You know, we didn't necessarily want to be driving round trip, you know, an hour each way to, say, Newport, for instance.
Yes.
Especially, you know, one of the things that's, of course, important to us is consistency and quality. And, you know, right now on our busy days, specifically Saturday and Sunday, we're doing 2, if not 3 deliveries.
Okay.
So obviously can't exactly do that down to Newport fighting summer traffic.
Ooh, that'd be a little
so,
tough.
you know, we kind of looked at the Providence area, looked into Cranston a little bit, but the Elm Grove site, you know, I'm quite familiar with the east side. It was a great location, and so we looked at probably 3 or 4 other sites, but that one, as soon as we saw it, we kind of knew that it sort of checked all the boxes.
So tell us a little bit about going through a build-out, saying we're putting up a new donut shop, and talk about the nuts and bolts. How long did it take, and what were you really looking to achieve? As you said, it's a big space.
It, again, it was more about the location for us. That space is actually 30% larger than our downtown space, so it's 3,000 square feet. So when we set out, it's like, yeah, we need 1,200, give or take. So it's quite literally almost 3 times the size that we really intended to take on. But as you know, sort of the Wayland Square area, east side, you know, whether that's, you know, the very small commercial zone on Elm Grove or Hope Street, there's really nothing ever available because it's highly sought after and desired. And so that space sat for 8 to 12 months, which is unusual, but the place was kind of a disaster and needed an incredible amount of work, and I think it probably scared a lot of people away.
But it was a perfect spot for Knead Donuts to expand to. And before we talk about the offerings that you have today, one of the things that's been seen as being very popular online is the kid and family component. There's a little mini kitchen for kids to play with, you know, little plastic, but to really pretend. Talk with us about that. It seems like it's been so popular.
Yeah, it's sort of gotten all the attention, which is great. But sort of going back to the 3,000 square feet and extra space, it actually, you know, might sound silly, but presented a huge challenge because it's kind of, what do you do with all this space? There's not a, you know, 1,000 to 1,500 square foot kitchen. It's literally all retail. Like, we have a very small kitchen that has the basics, you know, dishwasher and ice machine and refrigeration, but there's really no equipment there. There are also other, you know, considerations in terms of number of seats that you're really allowed to have before you get into like that next, you know, classification of restaurants versus mercantile and the boring stuff.
Okay.
So, I mean, Brian and Todd, the other 2 owners, we sat down and was like, what do we literally do with all this space? So it's like, well, we know it's residential. You know, we've sort of, for somewhat biased reasons, having children ourselves, you know, we wanted, you know, to be a very family-friendly business. It's obviously very residential with lots of families and children and people walking, and so we wanted to sort of capture that. So it's like, why don't we build like a little mini donut shop?
And it's a little mini donut shop, as you were telling me, like, this is real restaurant equipment. This isn't play school.
Yeah, so Weatherly, our production manager, took on the challenge of, well, not much of a challenge, but basically go shopping and buy, which went to Restaurant City, I believe, and the challenge was buy kitchen equipment as small as humanly possible. So she came back with mini muffin cups and little spatulas and whisks. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool to sort of see kids use their imagination. And they will literally just play there for an hour or two while the parents, enjoy donuts and company, and it's sort of become a meeting spot, which is nice to see.
So let's talk nuts and bolts. And you said Mother's Day was, as you said, it's your Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it turns out Mother's Day is pretty much our busiest day of the year, which is great.
So busiest day of the year, how many donuts do you sell?
Well, we hate throwing numbers out because it's not, it's important, but I think sort of quality, consistency, customer service are the things that are more important to us. But one of the challenges with our second location is our kitchen didn't get twice as big, just the number of donuts got twice as big. And so we certainly have limitations, So, we made just over 3,000 donuts, and that was like flirting with our maximum. There's some refrigeration limitations and that sort of thing. So we made quite a few donuts.
What have been the favorites? Go through what we have here, and I know that, what have been the best sellers?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we continue to be very proud of is that our vanilla glazed brioche is our most popular donut. I think we always say you can't hide behind a vanilla glazed donut.
That's the true test of the donut shop, right there.
Sure, yeah, there's no hiding it. Like, it's either good or it needs something to mask the flavor, crazy toppings or what have you. And so I think there's 7 ingredients in that.
Oh, pretty simple.
And so it's very simple and executed, and
Is that one?
Nope, that's this one right here, to perfection, So we take a lot of pride in that one because it's just out there.
That's your bread and butter.
It's our bread and butter.
What else we got going on?
Sure, yeah, so we do 3 varieties, cake, brioche, and old fashioned. So we've got chocolate cake, brown butter, pecan, which is, there are days where that one outsells the vanilla glazed, especially on the weekend when people are looking to sort of indulge.
Little splurge.
Vanilla old fashioned, and then we've got peanut butter and jelly and passion fruit. But we do anywhere between 14 and 17 or so different varieties every day.
Wow.
So this is just sort of a
This is
select
a little
few.
smattering of the selection. And then coming up with new donuts. Are there new ones if someone had been to Knead, and are there new flavors on the horizon?
Yeah, so we're always trying to be creative and seasonal. I think one thing, again, that we've sort of built our business model around is sort of staple choices, right? So 70 to 80% of our menu never really changes.
So you know what you're getting when you go in.
Absolutely, yeah. So being consistent, like chocolate cake is sort of a donut staple. Vanilla glazed donut, old-fashioned donut, Boston cream jelly, those things are never going to change. But we try to have 1 seasonal cake, 1 seasonal old-fashioned, and 1 or 2 seasonal brioche.
Okay.
And so June, July, and August are always really fun because there are so many things in our small summer, between blueberries, blackberries, strawberries.
Get a little fruity.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to try and fit it all in into such a small window, but definitely lots of fun things coming down the pipe between those s'mores donut I think we're working on.
A s'mores donut, you heard it here, working on a s'mores donut. Other things you're working on as well when you hear from families and customers that might have dietary restrictions.
Oh yes, so I mentioned to you earlier being, having celiac. We did start, we call them flourless because they're made in the same facility. They responsibly can't be called gluten-free.
Of course.
But essentially they are gluten-free. So we started that, the better part of, 6 to 8 months ago. We started slow. We just did it on Saturday and Sunday, our busy days. And it's, we've seen it, basically the sales on weekends sort of triple. And so I feel like we've done a pretty good job raising awareness. And so I think next Monday, is it the 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there, we're going to start offering those 7 days a week.
7 days a week. You might see me popping in for a flourless chocolate donut.
Yeah.
Any other plans moving forward? 4 weeks into Elm Grove, you're probably like, whoa, let's just take a breather here. But so wildly popular. Any thoughts for next steps?
Yeah, so customers are great, and they're always they always like to voice their opinion. So we've gotten lots of suggestions and feedback. We've got outdoor seating being delivered, hopefully in the next week or so.
Okay.
It's a very small patio. Hopefully down the line we can expand that, but we'll have some outdoor seating, which again, another reason why we sort of gravitated to this space. Something that the downtown space, unless we converted the alley into a weird alley seating, probably would never have. Might look to expand hours. probably in the fall
Okay.
when school's back in session. We've got that feedback a lot, which is sound.
For the more like the after school
Yeah,
time
well, it's, I
frame, the
mean,
snack time.
we try, and there's a lot of similarities between the two, but you know, it's again very residential, a lot of schools and such in the neighborhood. You know, school doesn't really get out until 2:33, and by that time, you know, we close at 3, and so a lot of suggestions to stay open later so that they can kind
Might
of
see 4, might
get
see
a
4:30.
donut on the
Okay.
way home from school. But again, school kind of finishes up in the next few weeks. Summers tend to be a little bit slower in the afternoon because it's summer and it's nice
summer,
outside.
but what? Pick up donuts and go to the beach. Pick up donuts and go to the pool.
Well, I mean, I just mean to say at 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock.
On an 85, 90 degree summer day, we wouldn't really expect people
Maybe
to
you
be
worked up
hanging
an
out in
appetite at the beach or the pool.
Perhaps.
Well, I appreciate your taking the time to come here.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been
you so
all
much.
the buzz that Knead has been over on Elm Grove. Adam Lastrina, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center with a gubernatorial candidate.